This district has been dysfunctional for a very long time. I would argue 60 years.
Board member Jim Ross sharing his unhappiness about the state of the Little Rock School District. Still, he doesn't agree with strong statements from fellow board member Leslie Fiskin. In a letter to the State Board of Education, she calls the board's behavior hostile, degrading, and unconscionable. She goes on to say, "I have apprehension about the ability of LRSD to make progress for students because of the dysfunctional relationship between the LRSD school board and the superintendent."
There's no evidence for that. We have worked together. We've supported him on the vast majority of his plans.
Fiskin praises Little Rock Superintendent Dexter Suggs in her letter, saying the district can't afford to lose the honest and driven leader. But Ross wants Fiskin to have a little more patience. Elected just 4 months ago, Ross says the new board is too young to throw in the towel.
We are something completely different. A new board, new vision, new passions, new ideas, new hopes for the district.
We reached out to Fiskin about why she sent the letter before consulting other members of the board. She said in an email, "It is my responsibility as a board member to the students of LRSD to represent their best interest. I feel that the students of the LRSD deserve better than what they're getting now." Ross just wants the state to give the school board and the district a chance to make a difference.
In 2 years, if we haven't made the changes, if the gains aren't being shown, if children's lives aren't being changed, then we have this conversation. But right now, the people have spoken. They've elected a new board. Give that board a chance.
The Department of Education decided to postpone a final decision on whether or not they're going to have the state take over the Little Rock School District. This issue came up after 5 schools in the LRSD were deemed academically distressed. Many people passionate about the Little Rock public school system and board members met today to say their final thoughts. As a former teacher herself, State Senator Joyce Elliott spoke about the issue. She says the board needs more time to work out its deficiencies and believes improving the neighborhoods surrounding these schools will be the answer.
We must do some deliberate things with neighborhoods to sustain it. We can have some short-term success, but if we're going to sustain high-performing schools, we have got to be as urgent about changing or fixing neighborhoods as we are about our schools.
The academically distressed schools being addressed here are McClelland High, J.A. Fair High School, Hall High School, Baseline Elementary, and Henderson Middle School.
They're going to remove my voice. Because that's what they're doing, because my voice is what's got these people elected.
Passionate words from a Central High School student and overwhelming opposition to the idea of a state takeover.
We have to listen to the students, and I believe that that is why a state takeover is going to be detrimental not only to our district, but to each and every individual student.
Teachers and school board members drilling home their point. The state has no business in their classroom.
Now, if you listen to those who are calling for our takeover, a whole bunch of them are going to tell you, that they at least appear to be telling you, that we're failing every kid in this city.
But Central High School graduate Obi Bayel disagrees.
I can read, I can speak, I can add, I can subtract, I can do all of those things.
School board member Jim Ross has said this for weeks. The new board hasn't been together long enough to give up yet. Board member Leslie Fiskin was notably not in attendance after speaking out earlier this month on her support of a takeover.
I know for a fact that the government is not going to care as much about what I think as the current school board is.
They're not educators, and I would like to see at least one public school teacher on the state board.
For Dad Tony Orr, he looks forward to the chance to address the state board, to ask one final time for a chance.
I believe that given the opportunity that we can change the things here in Little Rock, but give us that opportunity, give us that chance.
I've spent all of my adult life here. I'm sad. Our kids are sad.
Don't play games with any words. This is about a race war against the poor in this country. That's what happened today.
Emotions running high today after the State Board of Education makes a bold decision.
I made the motion and I voted for state takeover.
The vote came down 5-4 in favor of disbanding the Little Rock School Board and putting the state in charge.
Part of the problem, I don't think that the state has any real plan to do anything different.
In their 5 hours of deliberation, they went through several motions, including one presented by Jay Barth in favor of working along with the school district.
This conversation has been long overdue, and I think there's still a lot of healing that has to happen in the Little Rock community.
In the end, takeover came out on top. The sole survivor of the board's decision, Little Rock Superintendent Dr. Dexter Suggs, will stay on in the interim. The board also decided to create a community group of citizens made up of parents, students, and businessmen. State board member Vicki Savers says the former LRSD school board is welcome to take part.
I think that they can continue to be involved in a very real way.
The now former school board president, Greg Adams, disappointed, yet looking optimistically to the future.
And I'm going to wish the best for the children of the district tomorrow and the rest of this year and the years to come.
They have no proof that it's going to work, so it's just going to be an experiment.
And just moments after being stripped of his newly elected position, former school board member Jim Ross has resilient words.
We will fight. We will not go down over this vile decision by these vile people.
The decision had already been made before the board meeting, so we were there going through the motions.
Former LRSD board member Joyce Springer trying to make sense of things less than 24 hours after the state decided to take over the district.
The term takeover has been used in a negative connotation. I do not look at it as a negative.
With a calm demeanor, Superintendent Dexter Suggs spoke through a lens of looking forward.
It gives us an opportunity to write the next chapter in a Little Rock school district.
But former LRSD board member Jim Ross can't help but feel the sting of Wednesday's decision.
Dr. Suggs is in an unenviable position, right? And to a certain extent, I feel sorry for where he is.
Suggs grateful for that passionate commitment from the former board and hopes they continue to offer valuable input as a part of the community group proposed by the state. Dr. Suggs will meet with Tony Woods to carve out a plan for his role as interim director.
If I'm here the next 5 years, 4 years, 4 months, whatever that may be, you will get 110%.
Joking if he had it his way, he'd spend 18 more years serving the district. But regardless of the remainder of his term,
never question our commitment, our dedication to the children of Little Rock School District. With this being said, we will continue to put students first in the Little Rock School District.
And though Springer doubts the state will give much weight to what a community advisory board has to offer, she's still committed.
I will be there. I will participate in those community meetings, and I will continue to voice and do the things that I've done for the last 20 years to ensure that that takes place.
What we're trying to do is just to give all the students out here a voice.
Students united! It's a message they want the State Board of Education to hear loud and clear.
To make sure that they don't just stay unheard while they do all the things they think they know is better for us, while we take a stand and do what we know is good for us.
Recently, we watched our education be bought. Some shady groups in a process that was not democratic.
As I followed their every step, many LRSD students told me the state takeover stripped them of their voice. So 4 days earlier, these students got together and formed the LRSD Student Association.
And it's kind of a unifying body to allow the students to make their voices heard in the governments that are dictating our educations.
Senior Andrea Hargrove, eager to see the younger generation take the reins.
Those of us that came together on Sunday, we basically just laid the groundwork. We stated what we wanted to do, what we wanted to form, and we've basically been getting it out there to the community.
Knowing they come from a long line of students willing to take a stand, these students march now to create their own history.
This is what democracy looks like. I think it's really successful because a lot of people showed up, and I honestly think that we will be heard.
They know they can't change the past, but still they can fight for a better future.
This is just the beginning, and we cannot stop at this one march. We have to continue to organize, to rally, to meet together. I'm happy that we're all here exercising our First Amendment rights and standing up for our school district.
Dexter Suggs was never the enemy of the Little Rock School Board. We could have worked together. We could have done great things for this city.
But after allegations on his doctoral dissertation, Dr. Suggs made the decision to resign on Tuesday.
I was not surprised, but I was also a bit disappointed because we have a tendency of losing our superintendents and having to buy out their contracts, and the attention and the focus gets away from our students, and it's more on administrative and adult matters that really don't matter when it comes to educating our children.
Jim Ross spent just a few months as a Little Rock School Board member before the state took over the district. He says Suggs' exit had been brewing for a while.
What this story allows, it gives the state a cover. The state now they can come back and say, well, I know it's been 82 days and I know we haven't had a plan, But that's Dexter Suggs' fault. You see, he was the bad guy in this story.
But when I asked Education Commissioner Johnny Key if there was any other reason the state might have wanted Suggs out, he said this.
No, not that I'm aware.
In Suggs' absence, Marvin Burton will take over as interim superintendent.
Marvin Burton's one of my favorite people in Arkansas. He's a compassionate, caring educator who knows the Little Rock School District inside and out.
He's been with the district since 1989.
We're very confident in Mr. Burton and his ability to lead during this time of interim and the work of trying to identify permanent superintendent for this role is going to continue over the next days and weeks.
There's just a lot of influx, a lot of uncertainty, and not enough focus on our students and what matters for them.
The very thing that the State Board of Education says it wants to avoid. So they've created the Little Rock Civil Advisory Committee to get public input on the future of the district.
We want to help them regain, rebuild, restore what they have here. It is our ultimate goal to return them to local governance.
I'm sure Mr. Curris is a nice man, but he is not an educator.
It really makes us as parents feel like every time we turn around, we're getting duped some more.
A new superintendent.
My way or the highway stuff, that's not my way to do it.
Thrown into an old set of problems.
To get out of generational poverty, it's just going to keep on happening.
Parents, teachers, and concerned neighbors brainstorm in small groups.
The breakfast should be nutritious and not just full of sugar.
Breaking down the biggest challenges facing their students, language barriers, literacy skills, crowded classrooms. Even 8-year-old Camilla Parker thinks community input is a good idea.
You get to get ideas from other people and not just one group.
All of these concerns voiced on the same day the state makes a bold decision.
7 yeas, 0 nays, that motion carries.
Waiving state educational requirements for a superintendent, paving the way for Education Commissioner Johnny Key to appoint Baker Curris to the position.
What I saw was an organization that needed a leader, someone that could inspire them, bring them together with unity of purpose, and he has the ability to do that.
As an attorney, former LRSD board member, and native Arkansan, Curris hopes his perspective is a bonus to his new position.
The fact that I'm not a card-carrying superintendent maybe is a negative, but I'm going to compensate for that.
But for some, it's the lack of a school board that still doesn't sit well.
Congratulations to him, but it doesn't matter in regards to what we're trying to do.
Which is to be heard. But Curris says he wants to make sure the community doesn't sit unheard.
I've been blessed. I'm in a position to do this. I'm willing to do my best.
And I cannot brag enough about the work that Baker Curris has done since last May when he took on this role.
State Education Commissioner Johnny Key explaining today why Curris was the man for the job last year, and also explaining why Bentonville Superintendent Michael Poore is now the man for the job.
It is now time to move to looking to see how we can make a turn on the academic side.
Poore starts July 1st. He arrives from the city best known as the headquarters of Walmart with 15,000 students to the state's biggest district with 25,000 students. Curris says he doesn't plan on going away.
Work hard every day. Got up this morning at 3:30, fed my dogs. They jumped around. I mean, if we can only have the enthusiasm of a dog.
But some local leaders question why Curris is out just 1 year into the state takeover, timing that even Governor Asa Hutchinson found unexpected.
I did not fully understand the timing of it, and the timing was not the best timing, but it was necessary because of when the contracts come up.
I feel like so much of my rights have been taken away as a parent. I feel like the Little Rock School District has become a sharecropper plantation. Our children, our teachers, our parents are all working in the fields.
15 legislators from across Arkansas heard the desperate pleas of Little Rock parents and teachers Monday night. For the first time since his unexpected release, they also heard from outgoing Superintendent Baker Curris.
Asked for this job. I didn't fight for this job. I won't fight to keep this job. But I will fight for our school district.
In the weeks since it was announced that Curris is out, parents and teachers have begged for him to be reinstated. But with a new superintendent named and no comment from Commissioner Johnny Key, Stand Up for LR has turned to local control.
The people I talk to who teach in the room every day, who meet those kids every day, morale is low. They don't know what's going to happen. We don't know what decisions are going to come down the pipe.
The state takeover was supposed to stabilize the school system, but instead, teachers say they've been left with 3 superintendents in the last 12 months.
What frightens the employees is I don't know that we can tell anyone at this moment that Little Rock Public Schools are where they want to be, because none of us feel like we are standing on firm ground.
The recent expansion of charter schools also adding to the group's anxiety, saying Curris's contract was not renewed because he fought against that expansion.
He did what any responsible school leader should do to defend us. And sadly, I believe he knew that by choosing to do the right thing for parents, students, and teachers, he was assuring that his contract would not be renewed.
Other parents frustrated that Commissioner Key hired the new superintendent, Michael Poore, without consulting the community.
Our school district, it's not a poor relation that needs a savior from the north to come in and save us.
Many accused Key of not having LRSD's best interest at heart. Curris and Key were both called to testify before the hearing, but Key did not attend and has not responded to any of the public's comments.
Please replace Johnny Key immediately with a commissioner who has actual experience in education. We do not trust Johnny Key to do what is best for all the children of the LRSD and the rest of the state.
Little Rock Public School teachers,
I too am a mother of
and
4.
parents packed the seats at Thursday's meeting with the Arkansas Department of Education about the state of the Little Rock Public School District.
And distress.
And many of them were upset with the board.
I don't understand how come Little Rock School District have not been released to local control.
The state took control of the district 2.5 years ago, and the board says there is no timetable for when local control will be given back.
There are agendas in this city who don't care about people who look like us.
Although the board was there to answer questions from those who are concerned, many parents and educators still left the building frustrated. Commissioner Johnny Key says he is very aware of the frustration in the Little Rock community.
They want to know when. When will we get a board back? And that's not something that we can tell them. We can't give them a hard and fast date.
People were also upset about charter schools in Little Rock and the talk of building more.
What is the purpose of that if we are trying to build back the foundation of the Little Rock school system?
But the board says it gives parents more options of schools to choose from.
I believe it's imperative for parents to be able to have that choice.
Well, friends, that is
although there is uncertainty around when the district will gain back control, the board wants to assure parents and educators it's for the betterment of the children.
Every district that's ever been taken over by the state of Arkansas has been turned back to local control. That will be the end result here in Little Rock as well.
We want Little Rock to be the best school district that it can be, and we think that community input as well as raw data will guide that decision.
January 28th, when the Little Rock School District's 5-year deadline to correct its student achievement deficiencies is set to expire. Consistently low test scores at 6 schools in early 2015 led the state to take control of LRSD in what's called Level 5 intensive support. But state and federal laws have changed since then.
They focused more on academic distress, priority, focused schools. They labeled them different. We were under No Child Left Behind.
In 2017, the laws changed to what's now called the Every Student Succeeds Act.
So we look at each child's growth, each child's achievement, each child's attendance, each child, everything about each child. Very student focused.
Zook says because the state took over LRSD under one law and now the laws have changed, their exit criteria didn't come out as quickly. The exit criteria are broken up into several categories. First, numerical measurements such as test scores.
In need of support, close, meaning you do pretty good some of the time but not a solid B student. Then ready, which means, probably you're an A or B student, and then exceeding.
They also measure what are called growth scores.
If you as a student make as much progress this year as we would have anticipated you make based on previous years, then your score will be 80 or above.
In addition to tracking numbers, they also speak with faculty and administrators to see if everyone's needs are being met.
is the central administration providing the supports that's needed by the principals and in turn the teachers so they can be prepared and do what they need to for the students.
Based on the law, if the school district doesn't meet these criteria, it can't return to local control at that time. The state then has three options. It could be wholly consolidated into a neighboring district, or it can be split up with different schools going into different districts, or it could be reconstituted, gradually returning to local control step by step.
You are not putting students first.
Friday, the board gave partial control back to the district, but would keep the state-controlled district under a monitoring program and call for an election of a new 9-member local school board.
They say giving it back to us, but we're still going to hold our hand over y'all.
The State Board of Education plans to establish 3 categories of schools. The final category, dealing with failing schools, would allow those to operate under different leadership, something LRSD Superintendent Mike Poore is not pleased with.
It looks like it's going to be created as kind of separate schools that we don't necessarily have any type of support in, especially on the instructional side.
22 schools are currently in academic distress. The state's approved framework will kick in if those schools remain in academic distress when test results are announced sometime next month.
Absolutely proves to this community that you are not trying to have input from the public.
People attending the meeting were met with a surprise frustration as the board made a motion to dissolve the teachers union without any notice. Since teachers themselves were in the classroom, many parents there pleaded with the board to not pass it.
Just basically doing away with teachers having any kind of say-so. Why? What does that solve?
The board ultimately tabled that motion, planning to bring it up again in October.
All these things are things that just hit so fast today, so we're going to have to kind of regroup as a staff too right now and just kind of think this thing through.
It wasn't your typical school night at Central High Wednesday. As a sea of people holding candles packed the school's front lawn to stand as one Little Rock School District.
Forward together!
The State Board of Education's proposed plan to divide the district up and to separate the failing schools has left parents.
That is fundamentally unfair.
Teachers.
Anger, frustration.
And students.
I want all of us to be equal.
Upset with how the board is handling the situation.
I don't think it's fair that different people should be under different leadership.
And we want a world-class education for all the students in the Little Rock School District.
Parents like Colin Jorgensen say this plan is segregation.
No matter how you slice and dice it, the way that they evaluate the schools, it is going to break down by socio-demographic lines. The F schools are going to be south of 630. They're going to be black and brown students. And the A schools are going to be the West Little Rock schools.
I'm here for the brown children, the black children, the white children.
Educator Kelly Pedro says she feels the state board and the governor are not putting the students first.
Struck by what seems like a total lack of compassion and empathy, a total lack of respect for the parents and the teachers.
And Pedro says everyone at Wednesday's vigil will continue to stand as one LRSD until full local control is returned.
If you truly put the children first, then you will reconsider this plan.
Provide the resources and the help and the assistance to the schools that are struggling without carving them out and setting them aside and treating them separately.
It wasn't the outcome teachers and parents were expecting Thursday. The State Board of Education unanimously voted to bring back local control to the Little Rock School District by next November.
This is absolutely ridiculous.
But the state will continue to have the decision-making authority as long as the district remains a level 5.
That means you need more than just occasional support.
Chair of the State Board, Diane Zook, says this is the law when schools are failing.
Until they meet exit criteria, they will be involved with state control.
Last spring's ACT Aspire testing results show 8 schools in the district received F grades. But when the state took over 5 years ago, there were 6.
Which means if the numbers add up, we will probably have 9 or 10 schools by November 2020.
People like Dr. Anika T. Whitfield say the state voting to bring back local control is a false narrative.
Because that means that that's 11 more months where the state has their hands on our $346 million.
The State Board of Education also voted to no longer allow the Little Rock Education Association to collectively bargain with the Little Rock School District. The move revokes the negotiating power of the only teachers union in the state.
I'm disappointed.
Teresa Knapp-Gordon, president of the LREA, says she will call for a meeting with the district's teachers and expects collective action to happen.
The educators deserve a voice
in the decisions being made about their students and their classrooms.
Lord willing, we won't have any F schools, and they'll meet exit criteria, and we can go away and everybody will have what they want.
Dr. J. Barth.
As Mayor Frank Scott Jr. and the rest of the city prepares for the state board to hand over the LRSD, he tapped a former member of that board to get the city more directly involved.
Now, local control is returning to LRSD. The question is no longer whether, but how.
With the state board sold on creating so-called community schools, Dr. Barth will ride point on making the model work. That means focused, wraparound services for schools like Cloverdale Middle.
It just shines a light on how necessary focused attention and focused resources are for these kids as well.
That's the conclusion members of Grassroots Arkansas reached after a so-called equity tour. They started by visiting Pinnacle Middle School. The West Little Rock facility still has that new school smell. It made for an easy political point, comparing the A-grade school in the rich part of town with the grade F school off Geyer Springs.
I thought it offers access to unlimited possibilities for students. The only sadness that I have is that this is not replicated in every school in the Little Rock School District.
The principal of Pinnacle View takes slight issue with the idea that money makes the difference in his school.
This facility is wonderful, there's no doubt, but the human capital that is inside makes us an A school. It's the teachers.
Students in that part of town will get an option between Central and the limited seats in the West High School of Innovation. That's what the Community Advisory Board decided by turning Hall High into a magnet school. Lots of moving parts still need to fall into place, but there are signs the tensions are tempering.
This can be very good if everybody understands we're working together and that nothing is to be done to us without us.
The 5-year anniversary of the state taking over the Little Rock School District.
It's been abusive, it's been traumatic, and it's time to free us.
The Arkansas Board of Education assumed control of the 23,000 student school system because 6 of its 48 schools were labeled as academically distressed for low math and literacy scores.
I think that we've come a long ways in a lot of different aspects.
Since 2015, a lot has changed within the district. Michael Poore came in as superintendent. Schools were shut down. The millage was defeated. The Little Rock Education Association lost its bargaining rights. Teachers went on strike. And recently, a new reconstitution plan has been adopted.
Every day for the past 5 years, students in the Little Rock School District have been in mourning. Parents have been in mourning.
Arkansas Education Commissioner Johnny Key and Superintendent Michael Poore say today is a day for reflection of all the positives that have come out of this takeover.
Really, we could look at today as a day of accomplishment and celebration.
You certainly look at the things that are yet to be done, but you also need to kind of give consideration to some celebrations.
They both highlight improvements in academic performance, facility upgrades, and brand new schools.
Is there more work that could have been done? Absolutely, there always is. But I feel really good about the position of the district, ready to move forward into the future.
The community will get the chance to elect a school board in November. Until then, Key says they'll still be around to make sure there is stability in the district and all restrictions will be lifted once LRSD meets the exit criteria for level 5. Poore says the only way this can happen is if everyone works together.
For years now, the Little Rock School District has been under supervision by the state, and now they finally have a chance to ease some of those restrictions, but not all of them.
It goes back to January 28th of 2015.
For the better part of a decade, the Little Rock School District hasn't had much say in what it does.
Right when our district was taken over, because less than 15% of our district was labeled as having failing schools, which was 6 schools.
The district was put under control of the state and under its toughest restrictions. Vicki Hatter is the president of the new school board. The old one was removed when the state took over.
So obviously we're at a level 5, which means that the state is able to come in and take over.
Maybe not for long, though. The district might be able to drop to level 4 restrictions at a hearing in July.
I am hopeful, and then I'm expecting it to drop from a level 5 for those guardrails to be removed.
And the recommendation for that drop comes from the state. The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, or DESE, said in part, quote, "The district met the criteria to exit level 5 intensive support. For this reason, the division respectfully requests that the state board remove the district from level 5 and place it in level 4 for 1 year."
But the thing that changes is hiring and firing of the superintendent. We weren't able to recognize the teachers union and then go into any new legal cases.
Hatter says she understands as a parent herself it's natural to want to hear all the little details, but she says this change is more policy than anything, and they'll keep being educators, just with a little more control.
Parents, lean in and listen to me. At home, you continue to support your babies. You continue to look at the progress of their educational career.